So now we're going to talk about this problem y squared equals 4x. It's telling us to graph it. So the first thing I notice here is I have a y squared. So since I have a y squared here, that tells me this is going to be a sideways parabola. I know in general we're used to seeing y equals x squared. So since the x is squared, that's going to be an upward or downward parabola. And that's what we've seen in previous classes. But now we're going to deal with the y squareds. So that's why I know right away I'm dealing with a sideways parabola. So noticing that, now I think of the actual picture, and that looks like this. And what I notice here, remember, since this is a sideways parabola, the directrix is going to be x equals, because it's going to be a vertical line, and that's this line here I'm talking about. And then also I know A, and also we have A, where if you look at the formula down below here, this is x squared equals, y squared equals 4ax. So remember the A represents my distance from the vertex to the focus. Okay, so all that information is going to give us enough to actually graph this thing. So if I have y squared equals 4x, I want to make it look like y squared equals 4ax. So if I was thinking of this equation that way, I would say, okay, this is a 4, because I need a 4 here. That's this 4 right here. Excuse me. And then now I need an a, so times what? That's going to be a 1, and then I'll have an x here. So if I did 4 times 1, that would equal 4. Okay, so that would be enough to say, okay, that's my a then. So if I notice this then, my a is actually 1. So just the way this is set up, I know right away a equals 1. Okay, so from there, and I know it's a sideways parabola, and it actually opens to the right. Now, how do I know that? I know that because my number in front of my x is positive. So that means it's going to open in the positive direction. So it's just something to think about. Now, when we dealt with parabolas in the past, we had things like this. And how do I know that it opened upward? And remember, this is the positive y up here. We knew it opened upward because the leading coefficient, or the coefficient in front of the x squared, was positive. So it's the same thing here. So I'm going to be along the positive x side. So it's going to open up to the right because my number in front of my x is positive. For the same reason, it opens upward with a y equals x squared function. All right, so now let's just take a look at all the information we have now and try to put it together. So first thing, when I look at this equation here, my y didn't shift, my x didn't shift. So that tells me then that my vertex is still going to be at the origin. So it's going to be here. And then I also know that this thing is going to open to the right. So I know it's going to go towards the positive x direction. Okay, and I also know the focus. The focus is going to be 1 away from the vertex. Okay, so that's going to be here. And I know the directrix is going to be 1 in the other direction, so that's going to be here. And that directrix would be this line. Okay, and that would be x equals -1. Okay, because that's 1 away from the vertex. And then I can actually draw this thing now. So when I plug in a 1 in for x, now again, I'm just getting those by using an xy table. So I know x here, I have y here. And if I plug things in, let's say I plug in, am I going to plug in 1 for y, or no, 1 for x? Yeah, 1 for x. And then for y, I'm going to get -2, or when I plug in 1 for x, I get +2. So when I go 1 on the x, I'm going to go 2 in the y. And I just did that point just by plugging it in. So what I mean by that is, here I'll show you the work. So I got y squared equals 4 times 1. And instead of the y squared, I'm going to put in there. Oh no, I'm sorry, it is a y squared. Okay, and then that's going to be y squared equals 4. So then when I square root both sides, I'm going to get y equals plus or minus 2. So my two ordered pair I get from this are 1, 2, and 1, negative 2. And that's what you see graphed there. Now once I have that information, I can just draw my graph out here. So now I just kind of understand how that works, and my focus is here. And again, I'm going to want to label those points. And you notice right away I put my equation down for my directrix. So that's going to be the necessary information for one of these graphs. And also, if I cross the y or x-axis, I should label those points as well. So if I was going to be consistent with that, I would have to label that point 0, 0, which is the vertex. Okay, so that would be that problem there.